Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the globalist left, or the left being their foot soldiers that they're using out of convenience for the time being, how the globalist left wants to get rid of conservative judges, or judges that are not globalist leftist. Really, that's the point. Any judge that upholds the law and believes in the written word of the law and believes in evidence and facts is now considered to be conservative and right-wing, if not Hitler personally, which is of course utterly absurd, but it just goes to show you how far down the shithole the whole Western jurisprudence has gone. For someone such as myself that really believes in the law and codified law and use of facts and evidence and independent courts, and I really believed in it, and to see how far it's been undermined and bastardized by activists, social justice activist type people on one side, and the globalist cabal on the other. It's being attacked from all sides. So much so that when you get judges appointed to the US Supreme Court as probably the biggest international example, is it's seen simply as an ideological battleground, the court, not as a court that looks at the law and what the purpose of the law, the facts, evidence, and so on. It's simply not. No court is now seen in that light. Are you going to give us the verdict we want to further the globalist narrative and the globalist project? Because if you're not, we will fucking destroy you. And that's really how it's sort of working. And I'll use a couple of examples of this because it just goes to show how far the dirty tricks brigade will go. And I guess we've already had a window into that. If you look at, say, the appointment of, this is the Trump-appointed judges in the United States recently, such as Brett Kavanaugh and others, particularly Kavanaugh. The effort that the Dirty Tricks Brigade in the US went to prevent or hinder or injure, if you like, his candidacy for the Supreme Court, and the way he was attacked from all sides in a very coordinated, tightly scripted, centrally controlled campaign. Including renter mobs, banging on Congress doors, none of whom were arrested, by the way. Not like January 6th, where it was an insurrection. These people, they were just allowed to do that with impunity. So, and the reason being not that Justice Kavanaugh was considered an unqualified judge, and wasn't anything like that. As a jurist goes, he was reasonably well credentialed, but that he was not a leftist judge or would not act ideologically instead of adhering to the law. And if you look at his judgments, certainly the ones that I've seen, this Justice Kavanaugh, and his comments, then his judgments appear, as far as I can tell, at least, to be very consistent with the law and with the facts presented in the cases. So you would have to give him a pretty decent pass mark, I would say, in terms of, again, adhering to the law, the Constitution, and the evidence presented to the court. Now, if you look at, say, a judge like Sotomayor, who, in my opinion at least, is very poorly qualified and is obviously, in my view, an ideological hack, then she is considered, with much esteem by the globalist left, because she will make decisions and determinations not based on the facts, not based on the evidence, not based on law, but on an ideological construct of what the law should be to create this mythical social justice paradise. That someone like that has no place, in my view, on a court, any court, let alone a Supreme Court. And she was appointed quite clearly because she was an activist, not because she was a sage, well-qualified jurist. Now coming to sort of the other case of how, moving on from the things that happened to Justice Kavanaugh, it happens like this. So there's a government that wants to put various legislation through that's very controversial. They've got a majority, they're going to push it through, and they know it's not legal. And they're seriously pushing the boundaries in terms of the law and so on. They know it's going to get challenged through the courts. Now, some of the lower courts that will hear the case first off, they control those courts. They've got their activist judges there, and they'll make sure that those activist judges hear the case. So they pass the legislation in Parliament because they've got a majority to do it. Again, all ideological, super pushing the boundaries. It's not legal, but they get it passed in the lower courts. So the opposing people, appeal it, and it goes to, for example, the Supreme Court or the local district or area Supreme Court, whatever it might be, High Court. So it gets there. But now these people, these ideologues that have passed this legislation, they don't control the judges in that particular court. There's a majority of conservative judges, or not conservative judges that will apply the law rather than apply social justice ideology to make their decision. And if it's a decision based on the law, which is what it should be, it's a fucking court, for Christ's sakes. If it's going to be based on the law, then they know they're going to lose. So they look down the track and go, okay, we can control the Parliament, we can control the lower courts, but we don't control the Supreme Court or the High Court or wherever it might be. The top end of the judicial food chain. So if we get knocked back in the courts, then there's precedent that what we're doing is not legal. We can't have that. That'll be on the law books. That'll be used against us for generations. So we can't let that. So we don't want it to go to court and get a judgment that would create a precedent. So what we want to do is we have to change the composition of that court. Okay, let's go to Judge Billy Bob and Jimmy Jack. Let's go to them, to two judges that will apply the law instead of social justice ideology. Let's go to and offer them, say, look, why don't you, Billy Bob and Jimmy Jack, why don't you resign from the court and we'll fix you up with a really good job in a government quango. Big bucks, lots of money, lots of benefits, more money you're getting paid in the court, very generous retirement provisions, and lots of international travel where you don't do nothing except spend taxpayer money lavishly. I hear your wife likes to go shopping in Paris. I'm sure she'd like this, and so on. So now, it's a pretty sweet deal. And if you're a judge, say you're 60 or something, and you're thinking about retirement and thinking about the sort of life you're going to lead in retirement, how many nice luxury cruises you're going to go on, and all that sort of stuff. So those would be in the minds of anybody in that age group, judges included. So that would be an attractive offer. There'd be those judges would go. Now, this is, in my view, this is an outrageous interference with the judicial process. A judge being brazenly bribed just to get him the fuck out the way so that they can appoint some two-bit flunky social justice activist to go in there who's going to do their bidding along ideological lines and approve illegal acts by the government simply because of its ideological supposed value. But what if the judge says no? I don't want to do that. I represent the law, and the judge may see themselves as a standard bearer for independent courts. They may see this for what it is, a blatant attempt to subvert the integrity of the court. And they may tell whoever the flunky is who's sent around to offer this deal, fuck off, I'm staying. So what do? So they've got to get rid of this guy, and they don't want to have to wait 10 years till he retires. So they want to do, because social justice warriors, we've got to be now, can't wait. So they say, okay, well, if you don't accept this offer, you've got a good reputation, you're a respected jurist. If you don't accept this offer of getting a well-paid do-nothing gig in a quango or something, if you don't accept that, we're going to drag your reputation through the mud. Your reputation will be screwed. You'll be fucked. Even if you manage to survive it, you'll be so, in reputational terms, you'll be so grievously wounded that every day you're sitting on the bench, you're going to be thinking about, fuck, I hope my retirement comes quickly, this sort of thing. So they threaten him with that. He still tells them, nah, fuck off. Don't you try and say, I'm a judge in an independent court. You can get fucked. Don't threaten me with that. So it'll be done very quiet. There won't be any evidence. The judge won't be able to prove any of that. Those threats occurred. So then there'll be a little waif of a girl, tiny little frail little thing will appear, with a torn blouse. He tried to rape me. So that'll be, or there'll be something else. So somebody, some woman will appear. Got to be a woman. It can't be another man. But, a gay man maybe. Trans person, black lesbian. It's got to be from a minority group, a victim group. He assaulted me. He tried to rape me. He did this to me. He did that to me. And again, has to be somebody from a victim group. So the papers, the newspaper, in a carefully coordinated and pre-planned, pre-scripted, pre-organized hit job. This person will magically appear. He tried to rape me. Will magically appear, and then somebody will be found from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It doesn't really matter. Another frail little waif of a woman's going to appear and say he tried to rape me or did rape me 20 years ago. There'll be no evidence. You can't prove it either way. But the reputational damage will stick. The newspapers, again, all coordinated. The media will run with it. It'll be TV. It'll be radio. It'll be print. It'll be social media. It'll be an all-round attack on this guy, and they'll, this is we can only say what the this person reported the rape. We can only say what they said. We're only doing what else could we do? It's the news, and so it'll be just be relentlessly pushed. It'll be headline. It'll be fucking top of the top of the bill for the TV stuff and so on. That the guy will have the shit kicked out of him reputationally, and it'll go on. Nor will there just be a one thing, and they'll go at it. They'll be at it for days. Then it'll be brought up again. Every little hearing, every microscopic twist and turn will again be another headline, and so on. So it's not easy to sustain that. The judge and his wife may be quite active in certain social circles. They have all sorts of maybe dinner parties and other social gatherings. Suddenly nobody wants to talk to them. Nobody wants to be near them. Anyone that's got anything like a political career has been told, you stay away from them and don't invite them over, otherwise your career is screwed. So a lot of people in the sort of subset class, if you like, satellite class around the judge and his wife or his family, maybe the son studying at university and finds that suddenly his social media post somehow appears that they say he did it and it was racist, and they're going to have to ask him to leave the university. Well, what else can they do? It contravenes their policy, and so they can attack this guy in many different ways, the judge in many different ways, and to see if he'll crack. And see if he'll quit and take that cozy job they've offered. Maybe now they've withdrawn the offer of the job, so he's got nothing but destruction to look forward to and a reduced pension. Now, if he's made if he's got nerves of steel, he may decide to stare them down, dare them to take him to court, and then he'll win. They've made the whole thing up, so he'll win. But how does he know they won't drag him in front of an activist judge that'll just determine he's guilty anyway, or produce a judgment that's very vague and nebulous that, well, maybe he did it, we just don't have the evidence, maybe something like that, which is again going to be injurious to his reputation. So this is what happens, and this is a case. This is an actual case that's going on, recently, and this is how they come. Now, here's another example. A judge who it was was it a rape or a sexual assault case? I can't remember now, but it was. I should have actually researched this before doing it, but it was one of the two. And some woman was making a claim against a guy, and it was one of those things where she had invited him over expressly for the purpose of having intimate relations. I want you to come over and fuck me hard. This sort of texts and everything. So the argument was, or the case was that whilst they were already engaged in coitus, that she had changed her mind at some point and he hadn't stopped straight away. He'd stopped, but not straight away. And therefore, it was a technical issue of rape or unwanted sex or some lesser type rape charge. So the whole thing swung on. He didn't stop quickly enough. But that was it. Now, how something like that would end up in court is quite beyond me. But anyway, there you go. I mean, she must have been really talked into this. You know, we need these sort of cases so we can get back at these straight white men for oppressing us, Nazis. So anyway, the judge wouldn't have any of it, and he said, no, it's ridiculous that you invite someone over for this, you know, for the sole purpose of getting laid, and then you know, you change your mind, and you know, in the middle of, you know, that's ridiculous. You know, you can't. I won't have that sort of stuff in court. And the judge threw the case out. And now this is not what the activists wanted to hear. So there's a very activist, leftist, globalist government was in power in this region at the time, and they relentlessly attacked this judge. This judge has no place. I mean, the independence of the judiciary be fucked. They just didn't care. They just went after this guy with an absolute vengeance, that he was some old straight white male relic from a era gone by. What he should have done is taken that fucking guy out the back and fucking shot him for being an evil Nazi. Yeah, and it was just an absurd. The pile-on was just, but it was so well coordinated. He was just attacked from all sides and harried and hounded. The Chief Justice of that particular court was a government-appointed flunky stooge activist. And eventually the guy just gave up. He threw his, I mean, he was only a few years off retirement anyway. I wonder whether they set him up with this case. But in the end, he just resigned, just, oh, fuck yeah, and walked out the door. They gave him a gig as some sort of legal consultant for some government quango. So I figured they said, look, if you go now, we'll stop the attack and we'll give you a decent, well-paid job. So I think he just said, yeah, okay, fine. Look, I'm out of here. I don't need this aggravation. Now, this was a direct and flagrant attack on the independence of the judiciary. If the judge, based on the evidence, had decided that wasn't a case worth hearing, or had decided not in favour of the woman, then that's the judgment. And if it was consistent with the law and the evidence, then that's the judgment of an independent court. But instead of accepting that, these activists, they went after this judge with an absolute vengeance, that he didn't decide on the basis of feminist ideology. You know, didn't he know that this woman is an oppressed victim and the straight white male is an evil Nazi? Didn't he know that? Why didn't he make the decision in her favour, and so on? So this is the way they attack the independence of the judiciary. And every judge out there knows this. And they know that if they don't give the judgments that they're supposed to, on the key headline cases, and someone from a political office will contact them. This case is important to us. We'd like to see such and such an outcome. This is now universal, I would assert, and the independence of the judiciary is pretty much disappeared, and we're all going to pay the consequences of that. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.